Welcome to Seth's Daily Podcast. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And thank you guys for subscribing. Um, you can listen to Seth's Daily Podcast every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on nighthawk-radio.com. You can check us out on Facebook, Spotify, Rumble. I'm trying to think of all. We're on everything. YouTube Music. Dude, Nighthawk Radio. We're on everything, man. But definitely check out nighthawk-radio.com. You can listen to us on the Live 365 app. We got all kinds of good shows coming up. You can listen to Awakening Radio every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How are you doing today, John? We're blessed enough to have John Noble on, an Eastern Kentucky legend. How are you doing tonight, John?
Well, I appreciate the kind words. I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you having me here, Seth.
Hey, man, I appreciate you being on, taking time out of your schedule, man.
No problem, anytime.
And I know you're on your last run, brother.
Yeah, it's time. I'm kind of got to that age where it's time to step away and take a break from it. I've got I got five. I got 5 events left. So yeah, I'm wrapping it up.
Including a great match next Thursday against the NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, I got Tom Latimer coming to Hyden where I work. The Lexington County High School gym. Excuse me, and yeah, for the NWA title. It's a match that any real professional wrestler dreams about, fighting for the NWA title. So I'm pretty pumped.
Oh, you're fighting for the title, man.
Yeah, it's a title match for the NWA title.
How special was that to you?
It's extremely special. The NWA title is one of the very first world titles I ever knew about as a child, and I grew up with Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, Ric Flair passing that title around, and that was the most important belt in the world. It's the most recognizable belt in the world. Like, I watched a little bit of WWF, but we didn't really get that around here on television at the time. So the NWA, Georgia Championship Wrestling, stuff like that's what I saw the most. So that belt for me is, and it's still, I think it's most recognizable title in the professional wrestling industry.
So Ric Flair held it back in the day, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, dude, there's been so many legends that have held that belt.
Yeah, but if you go back, I think the first champion was Orville Brown. But when you go past him, you're talking about Lou Thesz, talking about Pat O'Connor, you're talking about Edward Carpentier, talking about the Briscoes, the Funks, Race, Flair, Dusty. I mean, it's a who's who of professional wrestling. And now with the younger generation that have really kind of brought the title back to the forefront with Billy Corgan's version of the NWA, Tom Latimer's current champion, man. And I think personally, I think Tom Latimer is the best professional wrestler in the world right now.
I'm familiar with him. He's really good. You're right, man. And oh, there was somebody else that held the belt.
I think
Uh,
EC3 was the champion before Tom.
oh yeah, EC3. EC3 is
And
really good.
then of course Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, who are the general managers on SmackDown and Raw, they were NWA champions. Cody Rhodes held it recently. So there have been some great current professional wrestlers that have held it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that one guy. He's on Fox. What's his name? He held it for a little bit. He's on Fox News.
Oh,
Oh, dude,
Tyrus.
Tyrus.
Yeah, yeah, he was NWA. He was NWA champion. And Trevor Murdoch was NWA champion. He had a couple. He had a really good run in the WWE a few years ago, but he's held it, I think, a couple times. A big guy named Jax Dane, who passed away not too long ago, was big dude and a tremendous professional wrestler. He held the title. So some of the very best, even now today, some of the best professional wrestlers in the world have had that belt. And like I said, Tom Latimer is, for my money, he's the best wrestler in the world.
And you get to wrestle him next Thursday, man.
And 52-year-old John Noble gets to wrestle him next Thursday.
It's the wrestle the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, man. How does that sound, man? That just
Uh,
sounds.
you grow up as a wrestling fan. You grow up picturing yourself. I grew up in the '80s, and you grow up as a wrestling fan in your head, you know, thinking you want to be the NWA World Champion. And it's yeah, for me, guys, it's a 40-something-year-old dream. I've been dreaming about that longer than the current champion's been alive. So that's a pretty wild take.
I ain't gonna bring up age now, man.
Hey man, listen, age don't hurt as much as my body does. It's okay.
So where will your last match be, man?
It will be November 22nd in Hazard, Kentucky, at Hazard High School.
Who will you be facing? Oh,
I do not know. Um, right now, I've got the King of the Mountains tournament's going on, so I'm in that right now, and then the NWA title match. And other than that, I don't know. I think that leaves 4 events. I don't know any of my opponents for those 4 events. They're just kind of giving it to me as they can.
I got you.
I've asked for the very best matches I can get because I want to go out. I want to go out strong.
Yep. So you and John Cena's going on a tour.
It is. It's weird how that worked out. Um, it's obviously a little bit different. Cena is going out, and he's going to be devoting his time to movies and all that stuff. Which I think he's a few years younger than me. I'm a little older than him, and I'm basically just doing it to obviously to continue doing what I've always done with my life. But I'm stepping away from it just because physically it's just too hard anymore.
Yeah, I think Cena's 50.
Okay, I'll be 52 in a week or something like that. Yeah, yeah. So
I won't mention age, brother. But no.
that's all right.
Oh man. Hey, isn't there Luke and Gallows? Anderson and Gallows.
Gallows
Anderson
and
and
Anderson are going
Gallows
to be
gonna be
there
there, right?
on November 22nd. They're going to be there. There's going to be a big War Games match. I don't know who's in it yet, but that's just what's been announced right now, and that's still 2 months away. So it's untelling who else or what else will go on that night.
So if people want to come out and meet Anderson and Gallows, man, they can come there November 22nd.
Yeah, and AMW always has like a meet and greet, so they'll be able to get in and have an opportunity to get in and meet those guys.
That's possibly the best tag team in the world.
They and have been for a while. So they're very good. AMW's tag team division, man, is really great right now. Especially with Gallows and Anderson coming in. We got the Heat Seekers, who are, I think, the Heat Seekers are the best tag team, best unsigned tag team in the world. We got NWA. I forget exactly what tag belt they hold with NWA, but the Kazana brothers. We got those guys. We've got couple other young teams. I think Grappling Inc. is one. Um, we have the Deaf World Order. It's a tag team of two deaf guys. They are legitimately deaf, and they are tremendous to watch. They call them the Deaf World Order. So
That's a pretty cool name, man.
it
And
is.
I mean, individual talent, you got Stan Sierra.
Oh man, hey, the roster right now in AMW is better than any roster I've ever seen in this area on a consistent basis. There's always been companies, especially the kind of companies that don't last very long or haven't been around very long, that will spend some money every now and then to bring in a name. But as far as event after event after event, AMW has the best roster I've ever seen consistently in Eastern Kentucky. But you're talking about Stan Sierra, you're talking about Kyle Maggard, you're talking about Marty Clay, talking about Wes Barker, the prospector, new kid that's coming in, Bo James, Murphy Costigan. Um, Gosh, mighty. I mean, it's Evil Eric Porter's a veteran, a young veteran who's been around. I'm forgetting a ton of guys. Zodiac, Marcus Johnson, Marvelous Marcus, who is really on a roll right now. There's so many guys, man. It's impossible to remember them all.
Yeah, very talented roster for sure, man. And
Like you mentioned Stan Sierra. Stan's been one of the best for decades.
I'm surprised WB hasn't called him.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been that good, and we've had Carlito win for a couple of events. James Storm has been in for a couple of events. Tom Latimer's coming in to Hyden next week. Gallows, Anderson, Rhino has been in, and I'm sure I'm forgetting guys. But what that organization is doing is unprecedented in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean Carlito was one of the best wrestlers in the world too.
And AMW was Carlito's first appearance after he left WWE this time.
That's correct. That's impressive.
That's they reached an agreement with him as soon as his contract was up, and I think he was I think he worked for WWE on a Friday and was at AMW on a Saturday,
That's crazy.
and it blew up.
That's
And
called dedication, man.
it is
Dedication to wrestling
it is
and love for wrestling too.
yeah yeah absolutely.
Well, man, since it's your last tour, let's talk about your match in Impact Wrestling.
Oh, from gosh, from way back, huh? Um, yeah, that was gosh, I think I want to say that was November of 2002. Um, Wrestled a guy named Ashley Hudson, an Australian guy who was easily one of the best wrestlers I've ever been in the ring with. I don't know what Ashley's doing now. I lost contact with him, but he toured for a while as one of the Bushwhackers when one of the Bushwhackers was sick. He filled in for a while, but he was a great wrestler. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that experience. I was, oh, maybe it could turn into more, but it just didn't pan out for me.
Hey, man, you fought in Impact Wrestling. A lot of people can't say that.
Well, it was back then it was TNA, and it was dark match on the pay per view, so it was a pretty good spot. We had a really good match. The the actual wrestling people who know what they're looking at really enjoyed it. I think maybe some of the office people who don't know what wrestling is maybe weren't as crazy about it, but but that's all right. I mean, that's just how the breaks go sometimes.
And you also wrestled for OVW as well.
Yeah, did some events for OVW back, gosh, maybe 2011 to 2014. Did some events for them. Gosh, I've wrestled for probably just about anybody that's ever set a ring up in Kentucky at one time or another.
Yeah. So who's your favorite person to wrestle, man?
Oh gosh, they put me on the spot a little bit with that. Um, I don't know if I have a favorite opponent. Um, there are a lot of guys that I enjoy working with because of the style of wrestling they do. Um, but I've wrestled, I've wrestled probably every good friend that I've ever had in wrestling, which is kind of sound of a weird thing to say. But I always enjoy matches with those guys. Matches with like Eddie Brown and Kyle Maggard had a couple of really fun matches with Marty Clay, who I helped get in the business. Um, those guys are like family. Victor Bruiser, Bo James, uh, just too many guys. I love the Heat Seekers. Those guys I've wrestled them individually before when they both started out. Actually, there's just so many guys. Brad Thomas was a great opponent of mine. My favorite opponent of all time, though, is probably Tracy Smothers. Um, Tracy was so much fun, and he kept you on your toes, and you had to be really good to do that. Him and another guy named Chris Michaels. Chris Michaels is a guy that I think is the best wrestler to come out of Kentucky. That's actually from Kentucky, trained in
He's
Kentucky.
fought for ECW, right?
I think he might have done a spot up there. He did some work. He did some work for WWE. Um, he was on TNA in the early days. Him and another guy named Rick Michaels, they tagged together. But Chris and I are about the same age. But Chris started wrestling at 16,
Wow.
and he's still going today, man. And I think Chris Michaels is the measuring stick for every single Kentucky wrestler.
Yeah, he's on some spots for WCW too, I believe, back
He
in the
did.
days.
He's another guy, man. He's probably wrestled for anybody that's ever set a ring up in the state of Kentucky. He was in Memphis. He did spots in Memphis for a while. Back when he was in Memphis when he was like 18 years old. He wrestled. We were talking not too long ago. He wrestled in the Sportatorium in Dallas, the Von Erich territory, when he was 18 years old against Eddie Gilbert. So I mean, that's Eddie Gilbert's one of my personal favorite wrestlers. And I didn't get to meet Eddie, but he actually passed away before I started. But so Chris is a guy that's been, like I said, he was 18 years old wrestling the Dallas Sportatorium. So he's somebody I haven't seen him in a little bit, but I hold him in very high regard.
Yeah. One of my favorite wrestlers is Shane Douglas, man.
Yeah, I tagged with Shane Douglas once, um,
Really?
against the Heat Seekers in Barbersville, West Virginia.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that place. It's close to Huntington, right?
Yep, yep. A friend of mine is the mayor in Barbersville, and they had a Chris Tatum. He used to be used to be a wrestling referee, and he is the mayor of Barbersville. And they have a fair every year, and sometimes they have wrestling. And that's been probably 8 or 9 years ago, but it was me and Shane Douglas against the Heat Seekers, and Shane had actually brought. I don't know if you ever heard of Dominic DiNucci. Dominic DiNucci was a huge star in the 50s and 60s up in the Northeast for the original WWW, Vince Jr.'s dad, Vince Sr.'s company. Dominic DiNucci was one of the greatest wrestlers and one of the greatest trainers. Dom DiNucci trained Shane Douglas and Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, amongst other guys. Those were probably the two he's most known for. He
Was you
passed away.
starstruck?
I was very starstruck meeting Dom DiNucci. I don't get starstruck a lot. I don't know why, but Dom DiNucci, I was starstruck to meet him.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of your heroes growing up, man. I'd be the same way with like John Cena or Roman Reigns or.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's just a guy like that. A guy that wrestled in the '60s, the '50s and '60s. Is one bad dude. Like there's a lot of tough guys wrestle these days, but nowhere near as many. Used to in those days, everybody in the wrestling industry was tough. All those guys were fighters. We got a lot of entertainers in wrestling these days. Um,
Yeah.
Back in the day, all those guys were fighters.
I could think of maybe John Moxley, Jake Hager, obviously Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those guys you don't know because you like generally you don't know everybody's background. Like a lot of people would not know that Matt Riddle's a tough dude.
Oh yeah, UFC fighter.
A lot of people would not know that Chad Gable is phenomenal. I think he wrestled in the Olympics. A lot of people don't know that.
He's great. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
guys like that can tie you in a knot before you even know what happened.
I'm
But
surprised Chad Gable ain't get more push. By the way.
I love Chad Gable, man. Love Chad Gable. But yeah, and like I said, a lot of times it's the guys that you don't know about that have the resume.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Jake
then
Hager too.
Jake Hager was a college wrestler. I wrestled Steve Doctor Death Williams back in 2008, and Doctor Death was a 4-time All American football player and 4-time All American wrestler at Oklahoma
Yeah.
back in the '70s. So he was he's a different level of human being. But a lot of guys these days, just because the sport is a lot easier to get into than it's ever been, there aren't quite as many guys with those legitimate backgrounds as what there used to be.
Yeah. Obviously Kurt Angle.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
one of
Kurt.
my favorite wrestlers of all time. Kurt is.
And then a lot of guys, that maybe don't have the wrestling background or the MMA background, grew up fighting in the streets. There's guys out there like that. You figure probably a guy like John Moxley probably grew up like that.
Yep. John Moxley's very impressive.
And
He's a really
if
good
he didn't,
talent.
if he didn't, he puts off the personality that he did, which is
He's
what
from
you want.
Cincinnati too.
Yeah, yeah. He was. I think he was one of those guys that was around. Like a lot of the indies, like CZW stuff like that. Kind of earned his stripes there doing the death match craziness.
Yep. A state that doesn't get talked about enough that has a lot of talent is West Virginia.
Yeah, yeah. There's always been a lot of really good talent coming out of West Virginia. A couple, some of my favorite guys, some of my favorite opponents come out of West Virginia. A guy named Chance Profit. I don't know if you ever met Chance.
I've
Um,
interviewed him. Yeah.
Shane Matthews. He's been retired for a couple of years. I always enjoyed Shane. Um, I wrestled in West Virginia a lot several years ago, and I'm old and been hitting the head a lot, Seth. So I can't remember everybody, but man, we some of my best matches were in West Virginia.
Yeah. AEW, one of their top stars, Cowboy. What's his name?
Oh, Page.
Adam Page.
Adam Page. Yes, Adam Page.
He's from West Virginia. He's one of the better talents in wrestling right now.
Yeah. What I don't get a chance to watch a lot. Um, what I've seen out of him, he seems like he seems like the crowd's with him, which is always the most important thing. So yeah, I mean he's I guess is he their champion right now?
Um, no, I think maybe MJF is. I'm not sure. I
Okay,
haven't watched it.
I don't
I
know. I
keep up
thought
with
he
WWE more.
you what now?
I keep up with WWE more than I do
Okay.
AEW.
See, I don't get to watch like I'll watch a little bit of WWE Raw because it's on Netflix now and it's easy to just kind of scroll over and scroll through the stuff I don't want to watch. Um, a lot of it feels a little bit redundant to me, but I don't. I'm like you. I probably know a little bit more about what's going on there than I do AEW.
Yeah, I do know MJF is probably the best wrestler on the mic, though.
Yes, he has he's a natural. He's what what you would call natural because he's still pretty young, right? He's like 28 or 29, something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
he's my
maybe
age. I
not,
think he's like 27,
yeah, I can
26.
say maybe not even that old, and he has a really good feel for who he is. I think that those are always your best wrestlers are guys who know who they are as people and then can take who they are as people and twist it and bend it and turn it and crank it up a few notches to develop their wrestling personality.
Definitely, man. And I know Marty Clay's one of the local talents that has a lot of potential as well.
Yeah, I think Marty is the best professional wrestling prospect, especially come out of Eastern Kentucky in a lot of years. He's I think you'll have to forgive me if I got it wrong. I think at this point he's 23 years old with 5 years experience. Um, he's in the gym every day, developing his body, getting his look right. He he works out in the ring when he gets every opportunity that he gets, and he's starting to travel and get out there and try to break out of this. Sometimes as an Eastern Kentucky wrestler, it's easy to just stay within the first, what they call a 40 milers. People that don't ever travel 40 miles outside their house. Marty's starting to break away from that a little bit because it's a dangerous trap to fall into. I fell into that a little bit as a wrestler. You just get comfortable being home all the time, and it's just hard to develop as a wrestler that way. And Marty's starting to branch out.
He's fought a few matches in AEW, right?
No, he has done backstage work for WWE.
Oh,
So he's not been in. He's not had a match yet. I don't think he has done anything for AEW yet. I could be wrong, but I don't think he has. Because right now, like WWE, whenever they come within a few hours of here and they need somebody to just come in for backstage stuff, being an extra in a scene or something, they call Marty. They called him he went to Cleveland a couple months ago just to be an extra because they called him for it, which is usually what they do when they're testing you. They test your dedication. If you'll drive 9 hours to Cleveland just to be an extra, that shows a particular level of commitment that a lot of guys don't have. So I think that's something they look for in talent.
yep. I mean, they did the same thing with the Miz. They did the
Yeah,
same thing with the Miz.
yeah, yeah. It's not a business that you can stay close to home all the time and have a lot of success in it.
Yep. I mean, the Miz was just supposed to be on he did that Diva Search stuff, and
The
then
diva
now
search
he's one of the
thing,
biggest stars in wrestling.
yeah, yeah, and he paid his dues. He had it from what I understand from people that were around. He had a pretty hard go in the locker room. A lot of the veterans didn't like him, and I think they even kicked him out of the locker room at one point. And he was getting dressed in a janitor's closet. So
Uh,
he paid his dues, and
I know.
they do that, especially back because that would have been, gosh, I guess would that have been 20 years ago, um, especially then because wrestling used to be a lot more protected than it is now. Now, kind of everybody knows everything or thinks they know everything, and everybody is so conscientious about being called out for bad behavior that and it's not a bad thing by any means, but a lot of the hazing and stuff that used to go on in the locker rooms don't go on. Like I dealt with some. I started in 1997. I dealt with some, but I didn't deal with it like somebody in 1987 would. It used to be way worse. Like I just got beat up a couple times and pranked with. Guys back in the day were getting their clothes cut up and getting their eyebrows shaved when they went to sleep and getting people pooping in their bags and just and even and worse stuff, way worse stuff. So it's kind of that's probably one of the benefits of the internet age is that it's made behavior like that a little less acceptable. But at the same time, it's also made wrestling. I don't want to say too easy to get into, but it's probably allowed a lot of people that shouldn't be in this industry to get into the industry.
Social media has, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. You got some creators out there, yeah.
yeah, yeah. You do, and you take a guy like Logan Paul. Logan Paul would have never been a wrestler before social media. You know, and I say that, and I think he's great.
He's better than some of the
I mean,
wrestlers on
I mean,
TV.
you can see a lot of holes in his fundamentals, but the stuff he does athletically, and you can tell he takes it serious. He looks great. Um, you can tell that he puts in time in the ring working out. I think Shawn Michaels had put a video up a while back bragging on his work ethic and stuff. So he's got a great work ethic. But it's just one of those things. If you don't have the fundamentals, it it's very hard to get ahead. You'll always be able to wrestle because there's to be absolutely not correct politically. There's a lot of garbage promotions out there that will let anybody wrestle for them. But if you want to wrestle for good companies, especially in the indies, you got to have fundamentals. WWE they can put you in their performance center and teach you all that stuff, but if you don't have it in the indies, it's hard to get ahead.
Yep. Hey, who's the best wrestler in the Indies, you'd say right now? Some
God,
people would say Zack Ryder. What's his new name he goes by?
he goes by. I think Matt Cardona. I think that's his real name.
Yep, that's his real name. Yep, that's what he's going
Uh,
by. My bad, I just forgot it. A lot of
I
people would
don't.
say him.
Yeah, I don't really consider him an indie guy because of the amount of time he spent in WWE. When I think about an indie guy, I think about guys that haven't made it yet, or guys who maybe were there for just a cup of coffee. But I don't watch enough to know. Like I'll be honest, I think in Kentucky, I think Marty Clay's the best wrestler in Kentucky. I think Marty Clay is the best prospect in Kentucky. He might not be the best wrestler yet. He's getting there very rapidly. I think he's easily the best prospect in Kentucky.
Have you heard of
Um,
Zilla Fatu? He is
he is part of
Umaga's son.
the bloodline, part of the Fatu the Inoue family. So and with those guys, man, even then, it's hard for me to consider them indie guys just because he's going to be in the WWE unless he commits a major crime, and sometimes even that don't stop it. Unless he screws up something himself, he's going to be in the WWE just on the name alone, and that's fine. I don't hate on people for that. I think if you've got an advantage, use it because that's what it's for. Wrestling's a hard business to get ahead in, and I don't blame anybody for using any advantage they get. But I don't consider him. I don't even consider him an indie guy because he's going to be there at some point. Um, I'm trying to think what indie guys I'm familiar with. I'm outside of Kentucky. I'm not much. I think what we've got in AEW or AMW, excuse me, is I think our roster is filled with the best guys around.
I think Stan Sierra is the best wrestler in
I think
Indies.
I think most of our wrestlers will be the best wrestler in every in most other companies around here. That's just how good the roster is. Um, and but as far outside of that, I don't really know anybody that jumps off the page at me. But at the same time, outside of Kentucky, I really don't know a lot of guys.
Yeah. But yeah, Stan Sierra is a heck of a talent.
Stan has been. Stan's been at the top of the ladder in Kentucky, gosh, dang, for decades at this point. He's a champion everywhere he goes. So yeah, you like you said, you might not like the way he does things sometimes, but he wins, and that's what they judge us on.
He's a great talent too.
Absolutely is.
Definitely, man. Hopefully you and him will be fighting here soon.
Well, there's a good chance we could be in the King of the Mountains finals in Pikeville on the 20th. If we both got matches on TV next week, if we both win those, we're in the finals on the 20th in Pikeville. So there's a
Oh yeah,
decent chance I could see him. So, but yeah, and there's somebody, Kyle Maggard's a guy I don't get enough credit. Kyle has carried AMW for the for a lot of years. I think AMW is 9 years old now, maybe, and he is he's been there from day one. He's been there. He is probably the only guy that's been there every day for AMW. So he's carried it a lot, and a lot of the success of AMW is down to Kyle. And I don't think Kyle. I would never tell him this. I would never put him over like that, not to his face. But no, Kyle does not get near the credit that he deserves for what he does with AMW.
and you guys are on WIMT, right?
No, we're not on WIMT. We stream on YouTube. Our TV comes on usually on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock on YouTube. It actually came on tonight at 7. There were some technical difficulties last night, so it actually just aired tonight. My first match from the King of the Mountains against Eric Porter actually aired tonight. So,
All
but
right, sorry, man. I thought you guys were
okay.
still on WIMT.
No, it ended up like we get way more traffic off of YouTube than what we would get on YMT. And I love YMT. It's a great station for Eastern Kentucky, but just financially, I think it made more sense for AMW. And this is just my opinion. I don't get involved with the day to day business of it. I think they were just doing so much well. They're getting monetized off YouTube right now. AMW is, and that's an option obviously wasn't available being on YMT. So if you come off YMT, then that's more people that are going to watch you on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of money on YouTube, that's for sure. Are you
Yeah,
guys still on Hometown or no?
no, hometown covers a lot of our stuff. They share a lot of our information, but as far as streaming events, no. I think I'm pretty sure we just do everything on YouTube now.
All right. I mean that's the way everything's going.
Yeah,
You seen NFL on YouTube?
yeah, yeah. I can't keep up everything. It seems like everything jumps around station from station to streaming service to everything. I don't know what's where. I just turn on TV, just find it. We have a Roku. I just get on a couple channels and click till I find something.
Yep. I mean WB decided to deal with ESPN.
Yeah, yep. So, and I do think that will be a good venture for them.
That's gonna be big for wrestling.
Yeah,
Definitely, man. Well, John, I appreciate you being on, brother.
brother, I'm always glad to be on, man. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. I want to thank John Noble for being on. Everybody have a good night and God bless.